Okay, good evening. JC Kimey here, and we want to talk about quarterback play. And we're obviously talking about a very involved and in depth um, undertaking, quite ambitious, if you will, in terms of all of the various mechanics, mentality, progression, repetition, conditioning, toughness, and so forth, and everything that goes into being a quarterback. There's obviously a lot there. Let's talk about real quick about conditioning and toughness. That's a given. You better be in condition and you better be tough if you're going to play quarterback, period, point blank. Football, as we know, is a game for individuals that possess, the type of physical toughness necessary. And quarterback, again, being sometimes I don't want to say sitting duck, but clearly the target of everyone on every passing play up in the box, rushing the passer on every pass play. Obviously, you're going to take some shots. You've got a lot of guys trying to come to get you. Obviously, your guys are doing the damnedest that they can to keep them off of you. But again, when you're playing against good teams, even when you're a good team yourself, guys are going to make plays. So the toughness and the conditioning, this goes without saying. One of the things that we really want to stress as we talk about playing the quarterback position, let's go straight into the actual mechanics of playing the position, okay? Now, and we've talked about all of the things that are important in terms of getting oneself physically ready to play, being physically ready to play, and having the ability or wherewithal to be able to play the position and play this game. And so with that, we now talk about, and we're going to jump around here a little bit because play fakes and running an offense and cadence and all of these things are also very, very critical in terms of being the best quarterback that you can be. But let's talk about throwing the football. And so, again, this is what jumps out. This is what people see. This is what attracts the attention. This is what, gives, coaches the silver dollar look in their eyes when they see a QB that can really spin it, that can really throw it, along with the physical levels of proficiency that we talked about earlier, is throwing the football. And so as we go through the aspects of throwing football, one of the things that we stress time and time again is getting set to throw the football. And of course, a good football throw starts with the legs. So obviously we want to have the proper grip on the football, even though, again, as people have a tendency to follow the ball, that's what they see. A good football throw is going to start with the legs, okay? And beyond that, in terms of learning how to make a good football throw from a standing position and using the legs, the hips, the arms, the elbows, holding on to the football with two hands, getting the whip, flicking the booger, as they say, on some of your more touch passes and your shorter passes that you really want to be very accurate, that dart-like motion. That also looks like flicking a booger, if you will, off of your fingers. Again, oddly enough, boogers play a very fairly significant role in quarterback play because when they talk about executing the play fake, you are instructed to act as though you have a booger on the back of your hand and you're wiping it off on the running back's belly as you rub across and do not give him the football, but faking to do so. Again, let's get back onto throwing the football. And obviously the first thing that we want to be able to do is to get set to throw the football. And that gets me to one of the next and most critical areas of playing the quarterback position in terms of throwing the football, okay? And that is the fact that we're throwing a lot more on the move. That's the nature of it. Defenses have adapted. They're faster. Their rushmen are different breeds. Okay, if any of you have ever seen, some of these cats, obviously at the highest level, you're going to have some amazing cats. I've seen some film on some of the great pass rushers in the NFL, obviously, and watched a lot of them over the years. Watching a guy like Chandler Jones, who is, he's 6'5", he's, 258 pounds, long arms, and his quickness is otherworldly. his short area quickness is as fast as any human I've seen, and combine that with the fact that he's 6'5", okay, 255, 260 pounds, all right, and has got some really vicious hands, okay, in terms of the way that he uses them, quick and strong, okay. These are the kind of athletes that you're looking at, man. These guys are dynamic hand fighters. They're long. It is amazing that these top flight left tackles can slow them down for, 30 out of 31 times a game, and the guy gets a sack. And if you get a sack in every game, you got 16, you're pretty damn good. That shows you how small the margin of error is. And so one of the things that we've seen in quarterback play that changes the nature of the game is the mobile quarterback. And so I want to make a specific concerted effort to bring up this example, the example of Lamar Jackson, quarterback coming out of Louisville this previous year. And again, it was a very interesting quarterback draft in terms of the prospects themselves, who emerged, who initially went in, and so forth and so on. I will be honest, I thought there were some weaknesses in it, but I must say this, I think Darnold has been a lot better than I thought he would be. He's got a little bit more juice, if you will, than I thought. Obviously, Mayfield's been a real wild card, but I thought very highly of Lamar Jackson. And of course, the knock on him was the completion percentage. And when we talk about certain levels of proficiency, completing 56% of your passes at the college level, most of the time, NFL scouts are going to look at that and they're going to say that doesn't translate very well to the NFL because you're going to have smaller windows, you're going to have less time, that number's going to go down. Well, again, when we talk about getting set to throw, we've got to remember that most of Jackson's throws, and I said Lamar Smith earlier, most of Lamar Jackson's throws were on the move, or a high percentage of them were. Okay, and he had enough passing attempts and threw for enough yards that he was averaging 10 per attempt, which is pretty salty, even in college. All right, so there was enough of a body of work there to see. But again, so much more of it is on the move. And I want to break it down as simplistically as I can. If you stand in front of me and I say, throw me the football from 10 yards, you're going to do it 10 out of 10 times if you're a relatively decent quarterback fairly easily. If I tell you to do it on the move, there's going to be some variance in where the football goes, period, point blank. That should be somewhat obvious to people. So when we talk about getting set, I want to bring up another quarterback from this class. Again, the guy that I referenced earlier is the real wild card, Baker Mayfield. I tell you, he's not particularly big. He and I share the distinction of being the same size. There is no connection between us other than that. I am also 6 feet tall and 5/8 of an inch. Again, I'm not comparing myself to Baker Mayfield in any other way than that. It's a flimsy association that I enjoy myself in saying I'm the same size as a guy who was picked first overall in the National Football League draft. One of the things that I love about Mayfield, and I think it's the thing I love about him the most, he has a tremendous amount of energy, juice, excitement, great positive energy, all that stuff you can obviously see. I think the best thing mechanically that I love about him is that his quarterback coach, whomever that may have been coming up through, his time at Oklahoma, obviously he spent some time with Lincoln Riley. This guy's a genius. Anyone can see that. Oklahoma has fantastic coaches. Lincoln Riley obviously is no different. But they preach the mantra of getting set, getting set, getting set, getting set, getting set. And I love watching Mayfield because his whole progression involves him repeatedly getting set to throw the football. And that's what you want to do. Now, harder to do that on the move. And so that we understand that on the move, that we're not going to be able to be 100% set in order to throw the football. So we know that there's going to be a lesser of a percentage. We know that there's going to be a little bit more variance. We can go bit by bit and take into account, all of the, varying factors, wind, movement, angle, velocity, the momentum, i.e., javelin throwing effect of running and throwing a projectile. Your body is a lever, and when you're planting and you can get a stronger whip, you're able to muscle it. But when you're running, you add momentum to it behind it. We can go through all that stuff. Okay. Ultimately, what it comes down to is repetition and knowing your body's variances when you throw the football set and when you throw the football on the move. What we want to try to do when we're on the move is to get set to the greatest degree to which we can. Okay? Accept it, become comfortable with it, and this is obviously going to be the conditions of which we're going to eject the projectile from our arms, i.e. throw the football. So this is done through repetition. I myself, being head coach over at Mondello College and specializing in quarterbacks, I've got a series of drills that I do and incorporate to simulate kind of what goes on in the game in terms of getting set, angular running and so forth, and motion and momentum and all of that and so forth, and the changing dynamics of a play when it breaks down and a receiver who's long comes back, a receiver who's short goes long, left go right. All of the stuff that we associate with coaching that happens when these plays break down, it's the same thing. And as you notice, any of the changes that receivers would make from what I just mentioned, long coming back, short going on, obviously the guy has covered you to the extent to where you're covered from where you're at. So now you just stretch him the other way and make it harder for him to stay with you, because you're going into the open area and that. So what we want to do is identify and isolate all of the factors that go into a quarterback throwing the ball on the move and how it relates to offensive football and playing the position. Now, again, as I said before, there are so many other things that there are to go into, in terms of playing the quarterback position. Handing off on stretch plays, the play action, the counter action, the bootleg, the fake bootleg, the sleight of hand and so forth that you use on play action and that. Making sure that your drops are precise and so forth, because everything around your game plan is tied into the number of steps that you take in a drop when you go from under center. And more guys are going from the gun or from pistol and that, but yet still, there's still precision in there as well, as a lot of times you'll see quarterbacks that will take those snaps, those pistols, those shotguns, and they'll catch it and stop. They won't drop back, because the design of the play is to get the football out quick. And why drop back to reset when you can catch, plant, get set, and throw? This is elementary stuff, people. And again, there's a lot to it and playing the position of quarterback. And obviously there's a lot of competition. And so if your physical ability gives you the opportunity to be able to play the position, then you've got to make damn sure that the other things that are within your ability to control, conditioning, study, temperament, discipline, you better make sure you're 100% on those. I am Coach K, not the Coach K. I'm a Coach K. Coach Kimey, Mondello College, signing off. We will return with another segment on quarterback play very soon, and we'll get into the mentality of the quarterback.